Welcome to BRAIDEd from the EcoWomanist Institute Southeast. I'm your host and BRAID Program Coordinator, Keionna Thomas. Today is Memorial Day, a time where our nation pauses to honor those who sacrificed their lives in service to this country. But there are many forms of service and sacrifice worthy of remembrance that don't always make it into our national narrative. Today, we remember another type of service, that of our ancestors who worked the land as sharecroppers and farmers. They cultivated crops, wisdom, and the resilience that sustained communities through generations of hardship. Memorial Day asks us to remember loss, but also to honor legacy. For Black Americans, our agricultural heritage represents both profound loss, with vast acreage of Black-owned farmland taken through discriminatory policies over the past century, an enduring legacy, as the knowledge and connection to the earth persists in our communities. Throughout history, Black farmers and cultivators have maintained a sacred relationship with the land, developing specialized techniques and a profound understanding of sustainable agriculture long before sustainability became a buzzword. Despite deliberate barriers, this wisdom continues to pulse through our communities, quietly preserved through generations committed to land stewardship. Today's episode, Seeds of Resilience, examines generational wisdom and explores approaches to healing historical wounds through the Black Restorative Agriculture Incubation and Development Program, or BRAID for short. It's my great honor to welcome Ms. Valerie Hill-Rawls, founder of EcoWomanist Institute Southeast, who will introduce our special guest today, Dr. Catherine Meeks.
During one's lifetime, and sometimes multiple times, you have the opportunity to meet someone that knew you before you knew them, and they knew you as well. Dr. Meeks and I have a love of literature, we have a love of nature, we have a love of humanity. But there was this one thread that we had, that we were both daddy's girls, I being the granddaughter of a Mississippi sharecropper, she being the daughter of a sharecropper. We have woven that thread so tight that it makes her being stuck with me, quite frankly. But it also is weaving a beautiful tapestry of how we can speak freely, courageously, joyfully, and honestly about the lived experience of the most egregious form of entrepreneurship. And to see the people that we love, the men that we love, have to endure the hardship of the system and also sometimes the hardship of nature as they navigated through the sharecropping system. So I'm happy, I'm honored, I'm grateful that she and I have that additional thread of love, compassion, and truly big hearts for our dads and my grandfather that were keepers of the land.
Dr. Meeks, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. It's wonderful to be here.
The concept of self-innovation seems central to your journey. What has it meant for you to invent yourself as a sharecropper's daughter? And how has your connection to the land shaped your identity?
So let me start with the invention part. I don't think I knew I was inventing myself. I was trying to survive and trying to listen to what my heart seemed to be calling me toward. And in the process of doing that, I realized I was making a path that was mine. And now it's interesting when you get to be 79 years old, you can look back down the road and see where you came from. But when I was at the beginning of the road, I didn't really know that was the road. So I have really had this urge, I think, since I was a kid to find my own path, to find my way. Like when I was a teenager, I refused to sit in segregated doctor's offices. And I had no idea exactly what I was doing, but there was something wrong with the whole picture. And my internal little resistor said, don't sit down. That was the only way I could resist. Now I can look back at that and see, yeah, that was all about becoming your own person and figuring out your own way to be in the world. But when it was happening, I was just responding to intuition, I think. And I think that for me, self-invention requires you to have the courage to respond to intuition, because Howard Thurman would say, to your heart, what you seem to be called to. Do you have the courage to do that? As far as the land is concerned, my father was a sharecropper, of course, and he would get up every day and go walk the whole field. It was a small field, but he walked it every day to see what had happened to the cotton at night. He taught me to love that, the land and the growing and the crops themselves. And I think that gave me a kind of grounding that helped me to have the courage to follow my intuition. And so here I am, all these years later, having started in an environment that was wanting to choose to define me. And my intuition said, no, your path, your plan is not my plan. This is wisdom from 70 years looking back. I didn't know that at the time. But your plan's not my plan, and I'm going on my plan. And being grounded helps you to have the courage to do that.
Absolutely. And I love how you talk about that inner resistor and having that courage. And I was wondering if you could share some of your eco memories, the concept of lived experiences within nature that have stayed with you over the years. How have they influenced your relationship with the natural world?
I used to get up when I was a little girl. We'd get up and go sit outdoors and watch the sunrise in the mornings. And part of that was because my daddy was up walking the field, and I was really a little daddy's girl. And he wouldn't take me with him to walk the field, but I would sit on the doorsteps and watch the sunrise and listen to the birds. I like to say I watched the world wake up. I love clouds. Clouds help me to believe that the world's bigger than the world I was engaging in at the moment. I loved the dirt, the garden, and the plants, and all of those things were really important to me, just came natural. And I grew flowers in our dirt yard. We had a yard with no grass, and I planted flowers. We had a garden, and I would work in the garden. And I love to do stuff like put salt in my hands and go in the garden and get a tomato and eat it from the vine. So these were all things that helped me to have a sense about a world that was different from the denigration and dehumanization and racist threads that went through everything. And it also helped me I love to read, and I would read anything and everything, which is a good thing because it helps you to continue to expand the world. And so I think all of those things together, I was always trying to figure out how to be all right, how to be free. I don't think I would have known that if you'd asked me when I was 15. But now I know that from the time I was a little kid and still right now, I'm always working on how to be free, how to be free. And part of how to be free is grounded in not accepting just what appears to be the only answer as being the only answer. There must be something else here. There must be, reality is always bigger than you think. And if you have some sense of connecting to your internal self, you can see that. And I think nature helps you to trust that there is something else other than just the kind of run-of-the-mill everyday thing. So it's pretty complicated when you start trying to talk about it, but when you live in it, you just get up every day and go do what you do. So that's still what I do.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate how you really bring us back into your past and talk us through really the history of yourself and your family. We know that many people try to distance themselves from difficult past, especially when it's in relation to farming and sharecropping. Yet there's a lot of wisdom in embracing rather than abandoning that history. So I'd love to know what lessons from our agricultural heritage might help to heal both our communities and our relationship with the land.
I think it's really sad that we have made agricultural endeavors and farming and growing that has been turned into something that's so negative just because of the exploitation. because it's the most wonderful thing in the world is to pick vegetables from your own garden and eat them. That is pretty cool. And that's something wonderful about growing them. But we made such a to-do out of liberation being able to buy stuff in the grocery store that you don't even know where it came from. And that's not really liberation at all. You just a victim. We have a possibility of being the victim of exploitation again in that way, much more than if you grew the greens yourself. So I'm so sorry that we have messed up that idea up, but I'm also so grateful that folks are reclaiming this, and the things that you all are doing just makes me so happy, because I think that our salvation lies in reconnecting to the land in ways that we got separated from. Also, people need to be able to feed themselves. If you going to do anything to become a well human being, you need to feel secure. And if you can feed yourself, that helps, because it helps you to feel secure. You can take care of yourself. I can take care of myself. I can grow a lot of things that I could keep from dying if I had to, with the things that I know how to grow in pots, even if I had to. So I just think that in the first place, in terms of history, there's no way to get away from it. You can pretend that you're somebody else, but at the end of the day, who you really are is going to come up to the surface. You may fool other people, but you won't fool yourself. So then you go out into the world as this person who's got a lot to hide, and you're not empowered by your energy inside of you that could have helped you to be an authentic person that would have been powerful. And you go out with this false sense of power because you refuse to accept who you really are and where you really came from. So when I preached at the Washington National Cathedral, I was very happy to say that my sharecropping, unlearned, unlettered father and my brother and my mother, who graduated from college the same year that I graduated from high school, were present. They were all present, and how wonderful for me to go from there to where I was and bring them with me. That is empowering, because they are there, whether I acknowledge them or not. And acknowledging them just makes me stronger. And it honors them, which is what they deserve. Your history deserves to be honored. And if you had abusive, negative history, you need to work on healing. If you had empowering, wonderful history, you need to claim it. Either way, you've got to deal with it.
You're absolutely right. And I think it is really important to touch on the opportunity that we have, even when dealing with this gruesome past. Another thing I wanted to lift up was just the way you mentioned people being able to take care of themselves and the importance in growing and being able to sustain ourselves. And I'd love to know more about people specifically in urban environments who may feel disconnected from the land and food production. What practices would you recommend for reconnecting with these aspects of our heritage?
First, we need to teach people something. I read recently that people can name 100 corporations where you can buy stuff, but they can't name 10 plants. So we need somehow to remind people that being connected to the natural world matters. I think we've forgotten that. We just relied so much on the world that as we have created it, and it's separated us from ourselves and from other people too. So I think we have to, kids love to be connected to nature. So we need to maybe encourage people to, even if you're in a big city, you can grow something in a pot. You can grow stuff in your house. We grew a lot of stuff in our house during COVID, tomatoes and cucumbers and all kinds of things. So we need to get people to start thinking about growing things and making things, being creative. What do you know how to make? If you can start reconnecting to some of that, it's there. The desire, the energy, the capacity is there. Even in kids that are raised in concrete jungles, it's there. But they just need a little bit of encouragement. So I wish that we would get better at holding that up. In some places, folks are trying with the rooftop gardens and pot gardens and things like that. But there are other ways to do that too. You can do things inside your house that have to do with creativity and imagination that helps to widen your space, that helps to enlarge your understanding of what's possible. And you don't know where to lead. I think that's the other wonderful part, that if you start opening, the door can get wider and wider. And so I just think we need to practice being generous and kind, because that helps to open up space too. And that is something that everybody can do, no matter what place you've grown up in. Because every time you do something that's a little counter to the status quo, that's dehumanizing and polarizing, it injures it a little bit, and it makes space for something new to be born. So I'm just here, the evangelist for generosity and kindness and growing things and sharing, because it disrupts the negativity, and we've got to disrupt the negativity.
Absolutely. Community is really the most important thing in this work, and being able to come together, share knowledge, and work together is really what's going to get us out of this. And as we launch the BRAID program to support Black women farmers, what intergenerational wisdom do you believe is most essential for the younger generations to understand about the historical connection to land stewardship?
I think I love being with young people like you, and I love that I have a lot to say, and you have a lot to say. And I have the hope that we can learn to be more respectful of that fact, that younger people have a way of seeing the world that is not my way. I've been there, and I can appreciate that. But I don't need to have, a lot of times what we elders do is we criticize you for your way of looking at the world, forgetting we used to be there. And we didn't see all the stuff we see now. We didn't always see that. And so I want to be involved in making space for young people to dream as bigger dreams as they can dream, even if the dreams are outrageous. Most dreams are outrageous anyway. My job is to help you have a space where you are protected if your dreams don't work out. So you don't have to be devastated, and to support and be willing to encourage. I never had anybody tell me that I should go to college. From grades 1 to 18, nobody ever said you should go to college, because they didn't think that was a dream I should have. It was my dream, but they didn't think I should have it. So we have to, intergenerationally, we have got to have mutual respect. Y'all have to be patient with us, with our craziness, and we have to be patient with young people. And be willing to learn from each other. I can learn every day. I learn something new. Thank God. I want to keep on. I don't learn enough every day. And I have a lot to say to young folks, but they have a lot to say to me. So I think respecting each other and valuing what we all bring to the table. If we don't get better at that, we're going to keep on plunging ourselves as a planet toward devastation. So I don't really think we have a choice. I think we've got to get on with that work.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Meeks. It has been my absolute pleasure to speak with you today. And I really look forward in continuing this collaboration, especially as the BRAID cohort comes together, and all of the work that we're doing at EcoWomanist Southeast. And we really appreciate your guidance and mentorship.
I'm just so proud of the work you do, and so proud of the fact that women farmers are being respected as they need to be, and that here you young women are that are out here helping to get this done. So thank you. It was good to be here.
After the conversation, Miss Valerie Hill-Rawls joined to share a special moment with her dear friend, Dr. Meeks, highlighting passages from one of Dr. Meeks's influential books.
So, as you all well know, those who know me know that Dr. Meeks is not only my dear friend, but she's a sage. I get the pleasure of sitting at her feet and basking in her transference of wisdom. She wrote a book that I actually just love. It's just one of several that she's written. This one is I Want Somebody to Know My Name. And chapter 6 is one of my favorite chapters, Becoming Reconciled to Oneness. So my dear sister, Dr. Meeks, I'm going to read the first 2 sentences of that chapter, and I'd like for you to expound a little bit on what I'm getting ready to read. Reconciling myself to the idea of all believers being one has not been an easy thing to do. I must confess that I have had the most difficulty accepting the notion in regards to race. Would you please expound upon where you are now after writing this book a very long time ago?
Yeah, 1978, I think, or the 70s. I am totally convinced that all human beings are connected. I really do believe that. I believe in one God in the universe, and I think that God created everybody. And everybody deserves to be treated as a valued child of God. Now, there are people that I want to send off to Mars because their behavior is reprehensible. But those folks are still a part of everybody. And it's that coming to that conclusion has been so helpful in the work that I do around racial healing, because there can't be second and third class tiers of people. There's no valuation of human beings. Human beings are human beings, and we're all worthy. And that really does help you to have some clarity about how to behave. Everybody I see is an important person. Not everybody that I see is somebody I want to eat lunch with. There's a difference between respecting people and wanting to hang out with them. And that was an important thing for me to come to grips with. And it's been very helpful in the work that I am called to do.
Thank you. I'm going to take the liberty to read a few more things, and I want people to understand how rich this particular book is that you wrote in the 70s. And I thank you for answering my question. And I'm going to read a little bit more, and I'm going to encourage the listeners to go and seek out other books that you've written beyond this one. So thank you again. Racial reconciliation is not easy, and I'm not sure it ever will be easy for me or anybody. But just as we have no choice but to whom we will love, we will also have no choice about being reconciled racially. To refuse the healing and reconciliation God offers is to shut ourselves off from a more abundant life. So I'd like to thank Dr. Meeks and Keionna for their conversation that they had earlier. And I hope you'll continue to stay in community with us as we continue to braid these amazing lived experiences of Black women, farmers, and the people who have stood with those farmers that have given us the bounty of the abundant life that Dr. Meeks has shared with us today.
This Memorial Day, as we honor those who have gone before, let's also remember the agricultural wisdom and resilience passed down through generations of Black farmers and land stewards. I'm excited to announce that applications for the BRAID program are now open. If you're a Black woman interested in farming and land stewardship, visit ewise.org to learn more about how you can join our cohort. In the next episode, Cultivating Community, we'll explore the modern movement of Black Americans returning to farming and rural areas. Until then, this has been BRAIDEd, weaving connections, cultivating justice, harvesting change.